Okay, so the throwing pot is primarily focusing on hand control. Okay, so I'm going to get it centered first, just like usual. And for those of you still getting the basics down for throwing, I would have my elbow in my hip, not way out here. And I use the wall when I'm throwing standing. Helps me brace. Here on my back. So same thing, centering. Open, just like the cylinder. So I've opened it, I'll stop it, and measure. Using my needle tool, measure the bottom. Bottom's about a little less than a 1/4 inch. That's a little bit less than I would like. I'd like a little bit more just so I can trim a deeper foot. That's okay. Seal that hole. Then I'm going to open out. You don't need to open out very far, just a couple inches. The bowl was really far. The bowl was probably about 4 inches. I also want to point out some little details for some of you who are getting pretty good at this. Start compressing your bottoms. And what I mean by compress is just adding pressure, and it reduces the amount of cracks. So later when you throw something bigger like a plate, it won't crack, or it's less likely to crack. I won't say it's going to completely prevent it. So what I'm doing is I just take my finger and my sponge and I'm just sliding along the floor from the outside to the middle and then towards the outside again. So now I'm ready to pull up, but I want to recenter first because it's a little wobbly. Okay, first pull. So everything was on the left side, now we're switching to the right side. First pull. Squeeze from the bottom. And I still see some people lifting, and they do a great job lifting, but they go all the way to the top so their lips are paper thin, and then they flip them over to trim the next day, and they crack or chip. So just be careful or be aware of that. And a lot of you are lifting okay now. You've got the first pull is really good, but you got to start compressing the bottom. Push that clay in really hard. Creates a bulge for you and is easy to pull up. Compress the lip. You can always thicken a lip afterwards. Even if it's paper thin, you can always thicken it up. And I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. We'll pop this air pocket that's in there. If you ever get an air pocket, just pop a few holes in it. Squeeze the air out and then just continue throwing. And I always put water just on the inside. I kind of pour it down my hand. And the outside I leave it because I have water on the sponge. More water, the more flimsy your pot gets. So just be aware of that. Okay, then I got a little wobbly lip there, so I'm going to trim that off. Now it's time for shaping. So this is where you learn hand control. And those of you who let off really fast, this is where you'll start to learn to let off slowly. So I'm going to get some of the water out of the inside. I'm actually going to do one more pull because I didn't compress the bottom enough. I got a lot of clay still sitting down here, so I'm going to push that in. Slowly carry it up. And I'll write it on the board, but this is about 1 pound of clay. 1 pound. Okay, so now for hand controls. What I want to do is I want to push out a little belly. I don't care if you do 45 bellies that pop out, as long as I can see that you are controlling the clay. So I'm going to take 2 or 3 fingers. My pinky's going to be in there, but it's going to be kind of tucked behind my hand, and I'm going to push out at the bottom. And when I push, kind of mess it up on purpose. See how it wobbles? It's because when I pushed, and then I let go real quick. You gotta push and then hold. Hold still in that spot at the bottom. So I'm gonna push now, push a little belly out. And I just hold still. My outside hand's not doing much of anything. Okay, there's the belly. So you push, and then you gotta hold still for a second, so it goes all the way around a couple times. Now for the lip. You wanna flare the lip, so what I'm gonna do, and I'll show you guys because most of you are on this side. Right here, I'm gonna pull the lip over my finger. So this finger is just supporting the wall. And I'm just gonna pull out slowly. So you can do any number of things. You could do it a little bit lower, you could do it a little bit higher. That's the basic thrown pot, okay? Then as usual, trim the bottom off. And this is where you can really learn to contour your pot with your modeling tool, so you don't have to do it so much when you're trimming. So I'm gonna go in kind of diagonally. Just follow the shape of that little belly I've made. If any of you have ever seen Steve Horn or go take a class at RCC with Steve Horn, he turns these into handles. So just kind of keep those things in mind. He uses all kinds of little scraps and things. That's not very neat. But he has a really technical way of doing it. Then I'm just going to clean it up a little bit more. Now it's just time to clean it up with a sponge. So I'm going to get all the water out of the inside, because if you don't get the water out, it'll find a way out, usually through little cracks that just kind of erodes the clay. It'll absorb most of like small splashes if you don't get those out early, and that's fine. That's not a big deal. Okay, that's the thrown pot. Anybody